I'm sure we all have at least one of these stories. At least one story of a show or film that took a sudden dark turn, or when we put in a DVD to a supposedly harmless film, and then wham! It whips up a delicious plate of terror, which proceeds to keep you up all night, and then you're still seeing the therapist about it today. Well, here's a list of my favourite ones. Before I start this, yes, I am blatantly copying what Adam from Your Movie Sucks did, but since loads of other YouTubers are going to be doing this, I foresee this is going to be a bit of a trend, so I'm trying to get as much of a head start as I can. Right, on to the list. The first on this list is from the 1995 adaptation of The Wind in the Willows. Even though part of this film did terrify me, it was also a childhood favourite. I really love Alan Bennett, and if you've never had the chance to hear him read any of the Winnie the Pooh stories, then I pity you. The film starts off with this mole, who's named Mole, or Moley. One day he decides that he's tired of cleaning his house, so he decides to go to the above land, and ooh, look how pretty everything is. He sees a river, befriends a water rat named Rat, or Ratty, and they go boating together. But while Ratty is telling Mole about how wonderful the world is, Moley's like, hey, what's that over there? And then everything turns dark for a moment. That's the wild wood. We don't go there. It's not safe. It's like one of those scenes in a tavern where everyone's all jolly and then one character says something like,
I was out on Black Lake. What did you say, boy?
So, due to the change of music and even the fucking crows flying above it, my little childlike mind already knows that this place is scary. It's very scary. Later in the film, Moley wanted to see a badger called Badger, or Badgery. Okay, that last one was a joke. We've been told the badger lives in the very centre of the wood, so Mole decides to go into the wildwood all by himself like an idiot, and this is where the horror begins. Now, as a kid, whenever I would watch this film, it would always be this moment that I would dread watching. So Moley goes in and almost immediately stuff gets scary. Look, eyes start appearing from nowhere. Mole gets frightened, he starts running further into the wood, he starts seeing shit, and then goes further into the wood, and more creatures start stalking him, and then to top it all off, this rabbit appears and says, "Get out of this, you fool, get out!" Now, I am impressed at how something that lasts just over 1 minute could scare me so much. Now, here's a fun fact. When I used to watch this film, during this scene, there was something that I would frequently call out, and I'll let my mum explain what that is. When I used to watch the Wind in the Willows, what was it that I used to say during the Wildwood scene?
Molly's scared! And you'd say it in a sort of anxious way as you were leaving the room. You would get up and run away because you didn't like it, and you'd look over your shoulder, much as Molly does when he's in the wildwood. Molly's scared!
The next film on this list is Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. There was quite a long gap between my first viewing of this film and my second viewing because of how much it affected me. But when I was 16, I mustered up the courage to watch it, and yeah, it's alright. But watching it, I can still see how it affected my developing brain. The film starts off with this girl called Chihiro, and she's moving to a new house. Her dad decides to take a shortcut off the main road into some unknown country road, like an idiot. They reach a dead end, go through a tunnel, and then accidentally end up in the spirit world.
Everybody got that?
Her parents start going to town on this buffet in front of them, and Chihiro goes exploring. She runs into this dude who's all like, wait, what the fuck are you doing here? Just get out of here, I'll distract them. And then he does this thing, which is never really explained. As she's running back to her parents, these creepy eel-like creatures start appearing from the upholstery. Now this was the first trigger that maybe I was not ready to be watching this film. She gets back to her parents, and then my tiny mind was exposed to this. They ate so much that they turned into pigs! Maybe this was some kind of cautionary tale, like Destuel, Peter. You know, the stories that say if you suck your thumbs too much, a guy will appear and cut them off. And if you're racist, Santa will make you black. Well, obviously that cautionary tale didn't work, because I'm still rather on the pudgy side of things. A lot of other really weird stuff happened in this film, like... But it was this scene that really stuck out for me. In fact, I could barely remember the rest of the film. It was this scene. I don't really know how to end this, so here's an out of context line.
Open your mouth and swallow.
The final on this list is an episode from Doctor Who called Blink. Growing up, I was a big fan of Doctor Who, and, well, I still am. What's interesting about this episode is that it was written by Stephen Moffat, who you would probably know as the guy who wrote Sherlock. Not Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock. At the time that this episode was written, Stephen was a one-off writer. Most of the episodes were usually written by Russell T Davies. Moffat had only done 3 other episodes before then, one of which was another episode that kept me awake at night called The Empty Child. Mommy. That episode scared me, but Blink left me completely terrified. It has also subsequently become one of my favourite episodes, but what can I say, I am quite weird. The episode starts off with this girl called Sally. She's breaking into an abandoned building, and is it me, or have I heard this tune from Ghostbusters? She notices something written underneath the wallpaper, and she finds a message from the Doctor, who tells her to beware of something called the Weeping Angels. When I first saw this episode, the Weeping Angels were completely new. They had never been done before in Doctor Who. It wasn't something familiar like the Daleks or the Cybermen. I had absolutely no idea how these things worked. I didn't know how they thought, or felt, or loved. Secondly, this noise. Something that a lot of horror films do is create a noise that's used to associate with the danger. For example, Jaws has the... And in Halloween you have... So whenever this eerie music started playing, I knew something was up. They haven't done anything yet, and I'm already terrified. For my non-Whovian fans out there, the whole idea of the Weeping Angels is that they can only move when no one's looking at. Hence why this episode is called Blink, because if you blink, then they can move. I'm not going to tell you the whole plot of the episode because it's all sci-fi time travel stuff and I don't want to bore my audience, but I will tell you the end bit because that's the part that terrified me the most.
You live in Scooby-Doo's house.
Great joke, Dad.
The main characters of this episode have this kind of time-traveled Skype session with the Doctor. The Skype session ends, and then Sally's like, wait, what the fuck? Don't hang up on me. The boy character tries to help out, and then they realise they're not looking at the statue. And then... I was unaware that they were able to make this face. The guy's like, everything will be fine if we just keep looking at this one, right? Then Sally's like, oh, there are 3 more, didn't I tell you? Well, I'm gonna get a beer, have fun. Then he's like, wait, where'd you go? Oh, yeah, the statue. They go downstairs where they find the other 3 standing around the TARDIS. Don't ask what that is. And tensions really rise when one of them starts turning out the light. And that's where we get multiple jump scares in a row. Wonderful!
Nice.
Some time travel stuff happens and the angels end up looking at each other, so they're never gonna move again. Happily ever after. The end. They're just gonna stay there forever. I have an issue with this ending, because what would happen if there was a power cut? Then they could move again. Or even if something covers this one's face, then that means this one can move, and then that can move that one, and then that one, and then they could all move again. Now I get the idea that you can't kill a stone, but why can't you take a sledgehammer to one of them? In the same sense that you can't kill ice, but you could smash someone's head if it's frozen. And I can pretty confidently say that that would kill them. Also, if all you have to do is just to keep looking at it, couldn't you just wink with each eye so that you don't have to blink? And can you put a mirror in front of one of them? There is one more film that I want to talk about on this list. There are a few reasons why I'm not going to talk about it now though. The first is that I want to do a full review of the film. And the other reason being is that it had such an effect on me as a child that I actually haven't seen the whole thing. So I wouldn't really be able to say much about it. So, if you wait patiently, part 2 will come. But in the meantime, now that I've unleashed the memory equivalent of the pits of hell, let's see how many more repressed horrors await in my brain cavity. I can feel them scratching away inside my head, just waiting to get out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. It's nice out there. I can't hide me there. Let me out. 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 Well, have a nice day.